Sometimes I wonder what I'm doing with myself.
At least you got your health.
The grease monkey are... Seems we've got a guest. Really now, Parvati, I do wish you'd spoken up. I do apologize. I was given no forewarning of your arrival, or I might have welcomed you at the gates myself. I'm Reed Thompson, Outpost Administrator. I cannot help but notice you are not in uniform. Of course not. I don't have that kind of luck. Seems I allowed my excitement to run away with my wits. Been a few seasons since we've had a visitor pass through.
Only regulator we got is hooked up to the town transformer. Mr. Thompson ain't liable to be keen on dismantling it.
I beg your pardon. I am most emphatically not keen on any such thing. I can't let you have our power regulator. But I happen to know of another one. And I happen to know exactly how you may retrieve it without frying yourself in the process. There's a power regulator in the old botanical lab. It's mostly abandoned, so all that power is being squandered. Go down to the geothermal plant. Reroute power from the botanical district over to us. Once their power's shut down, you can have their regulator and be along on your way. I was not entirely sure how to tell you this. The botanical labs are not legally inhabited, but there are people who live there. No, I do not imagine they will be pleased. But like a parent disciplining an unruly child, you will be doing them a kindness. The people living in the botanical labs, they're deserters, former workers. I need them back at their posts. I need them to come home. My hope is that by cutting off their power, you will convince those deserters to come back to town. Before you go to the plant, I want you to stop by the botanical lab. Speak to their leader, Adelaide. Tell her the power's about to go, and that it's time her band of deserters came back to town.
My dad told me all about the plant. Taught me all he knew. I could come in useful. I mean, if that's all right with you, Mr. Thompson. Sir.
I hesitate to part ways with Miss Holcomb, but I cannot deny that she is talented, and may prove useful to you. You will need an administrative passcode in order to enter the plant. I am trusting you with mine, and trusting Miss Holcomb to guide you if you'd like.
Great! I got my wrenches and diagnosticators and hairpins and engine tape, so I'm all set.
Well, I am glad to hear that. Best of luck to you, and thank you again for your help. It is a lot to ask of a stranger, I know.
We better clear out of Mr. Thompson's office before we talk. Hey, ma'am, can we talk? Sorry. Shh. Can we talk? Sorry. You just want to get out of here. And you likely don't want to tag along like me. It's just, Mr. Thompson has his own view on matters, on account of it's his job and what all, but that's not the only side of the tale. To Mr. Thompson, a person's a gear. It does its job quiet-like. If it squeaks or stutters, it gets replaced. The deserters are decent folk. I knew some of them before they left. Mr. Thompson's aiming to take away their power. They'll have no lights to see, nor heat to cook. They'll be at the mercy of marauders, or worse. It don't seem right to me, ma'am. I think you should talk to the town's vicar about it. Max, his name is. Thanks, ma'am. I just think when you gotta make a decision that'll hurt somebody, it's best to think on the right and wrong of it. That's what my dad used to say anyways.
Huh? Come out and play!
Incoming!
Thank you!
On my way. Heading back. Be right there.
Hey, you hear about Wilson?
I've been feeling pretty low these days.
I've always felt weird in here. It's too clean.
Yes, what is it? You're an outsider. And Ms. Holcomb as well.
Just tagging along, Vicar DeSoto. Don't mind me.
I so rarely get new people to talk to. Name your poison, anything at all. Spiritual counseling? This season's tossball predictions? The quickest way out of town?
But what? I thought you would talk to him.
You wanted to speak to me, Ms. Holcomb? Every time I've tried to engage you in conversation, you look at the floor, answer in single words, and slink away. I can't imagine what would be so grave as to drive her to my mission. What has Mr. Thompson asked you to do? I can see why that troubles you. Miss Holcomb has a soft heart. Always has, if you believe the talk. Assuming your goal is to save as many as possible, then you should bring everyone together. Send the power to Edgewater and convince the deserters to return to the fold. If it were as easy as a few soothing words in the right ears, I'm sure it would have been done already. Consider it a challenge. If you don't mind a bit of unsolicited advice, be cautious on your way to the geothermal plant. It is not as safe as... The marauders I met when I ventured outside the walls might agree with you. Barely escaped with my life. But you see, one of the reasons I try... If you manage to acquire it for me... I just want to keep the writing out of layman's hand. On the contrary, my position means that... Glad we see... It's a handwritten journal. Thank you.
Where are we headed? That's on account of how I never met her. She was in another division of the Spacer's Choice family. She worked in the Vale a few months, sorting the cannery computers. Her contract said any kids she had, expected or not, belonged to her office from the time of conception. So, it's sensible. You mean about the... I know, but Vickers says real machines have gunked up oil. The machine Vickers sees is one ain't never been run. It's not for people to live in. It's something on a museum shelf. Fixing the universe is a job for somebody way better. Shh.
Move along, stranger. We don't want any trouble. I don't know you. Whatever you're looking for, it ain't here. Move along. Answers, huh? You must be one of those philosophicals. Already got ourselves one of those. Yeah, that's us. And you can tell Thompson we're doing just fine by ourselves. If you're gonna start wandering around my camp, know that I got my sights on you. Over in the hothouse, tending crop. Enough with the questions. No offense, but I've got a lot on my mind. You don't know what enough with the question? No, I'm sorry. That was unworthy of me. Lady named Zoe went missing some nights ago. It's not like Zoe to go wandering. Figured she might be out scavenging, but can't imagine where she's gone. Vale's a wide. Could do without the... I'll tell you what Vex me. If she told anybody, they ain't telling me. Could be. Dangers aplenty. Well, enough to know we never got on. Zoe and Stefan were close. She was lazy and thoughtless, but she... What is it?
If you're hungry, there's meat turning on the spit outside. If you're bearing illness, find a place to lay your head down and I'll fetch you a poultice. Whatever your troubles with Edgewater, leave them at the gates and be welcomed here. Any questions, dear? I have been called that, among other things. Green Thumb, grandmother.
Excuse me, Miss McDevitt? Sorry, it's just... You got such pretty trees in here.
Why, thank you. You're right. Are you staying long? You should try some of my tobaccorn tea. I brew it in an old spittoon, but it's been cleaned. Reed Thompson. You here on behalf of that cold-eyed reptile? Make amends. Like everything else that comes out of Edgewater, that peace offering is canned. He would do such a thing. The question is, why? Cannery's got a regulator. You want ship parts, you ought to rip 'em out of the cannery's guts and leave us be. If you're going down to the plant, you should divert power away from Edgewater and toward... Think about it. You'd be liberating an entire town from a lifetime of service to that odious cannery. Well, if it's all the same to you, then you ought to divert power. You've seen that miserable excuse for a town with your own lamps. Hollow, you know that's true, don't you, Miss Holcomb? Your father died.
He was tired all the time, sure, but he was old, man.
Look what they did to this child. Lost her family to the It's not much of a living. Every single person in that... All anyone ever does is... Life in Edgewater grinds to a halt. The cannery shuts down. Workers... You bring power to Reed's town and you'll be killing us. Reed, no... I trust you will listen to your...
Wanted to poke around in here.
Beginning security patrol.
The control room should be off to the right. I hope we're doing the right thing. Three switches. That'll be easy enough. Gosh, that's clever.
Halt.
Here we go! Can't get past that armor! That didn't work. 2 more. What'll happen to Miss McDevitt's folk if we send power to the base?
Away, Phantom! No, just leave me alone!
Dang, that's impressive! Mind the steam. You're liable to get scalded.
Processing.
Incoming!